first starting off and you were picking shows to watch, I'm looking at your channel. Star versus the Forces of Evil is kind of like your very first reactions that you did.
Hmm.
What was kind of like your process you're thinking of when you're going through a show? Like, do I want to go by what's trending? Do I go by what my personal interests? Like, what's kind of like your mindset?
Well, when I started off, the very first video or videos I did was Steven Universe, but those got taken down.
Yeah.
But some of them stayed up longer, but then the YouTube rules changed, and like a couple months or a year later they got taken down. But people were requesting Star versus the Forces of Evil, and I never heard of it. And so like I didn't think it was gonna be something I'd be interested in. So I watched like I forget, like seasons 1 and 2, I think, or maybe 3. And because I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it, but I ended up binging it, and I think season 4 came out. And that's when I started reacting to it, I believe.
Okay.
It was years ago. But yeah, people like a lot of the things I started reacting to back then were things people recommended to me, and I was like iffy about because I had a hard time back then starting new shows because that was the time I was still kind of in my like, the mid 90s and early 2000s shows were the best. All this new stuff is garbage with the exception of
Yeah.
like Steven Universe. And yeah, so I was like taking requests. People did the same thing with She-Ra. They recommended it to me. But the reason I didn't do She-Ra on my channel was because I didn't think I was going to like it because it had the word princesses in it. And I've had the freaking, the toxic femininity shoved down my throat so much as a child that I just
Right.
despised anything that was like girly girl princesses. So I refused to, but I kept seeing it all over Tumblr. And I was like, I'll just watch the show like off, the channel and see what it's about. And this was season 1. And I watched season 1 and I was actually really into it. I'm like, this is really like the LGBT representation. I was like, I'm here for it. I fell in love with Catra. I'm like, I love her. I love Adora and like even Entrapta. And so once season 2 came out, I started reacting to it on the channel. And then from She-Ra, it went into the Owl House because when She-Ra ended, everyone was like, you need to watch the show, The Owl House. And I thought people just kept misspelling like The Loud House. I'd never even heard of The Owl House. I was like, The Loud House looks like crap. Like, I don't want to watch that show. And but no, I looked it up and I started watching The Owl House, and then it's been kind of recommendations ever since. The way I do it now is if a lot of people are requesting a certain show, like right now, Murder Drones has been my new thing because a lot of people all of a sudden just started saying Murder Drones, Murder Drones, Murder Drones. So I was like, okay, usually if a lot of people request it, it does well. And it's been doing fairly well. Not as well as like, Hell of a Boss or whatever. But
Right.
Still, it's doing better than, my Infinity Train reactions I started and that type of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of like my go-to now, where if I find something interesting or I want to react to something, I'll do it. But it's mostly based off of recommendations and like how many people are requesting it. Because it was the same way with Owl House and She-Ra. Like the very successful shows, I went based off of how many people were requesting it. And that seemed to work so far. So that's kind of like my rule of thumb for the most part.